So I'm Coleman Robertson, VP Exploration for Bold Ventures. I will be making some forward-looking statements, which you can review on the slides later. So Bold Ventures is a junior exploration company looking to make new discoveries of gold and battery and critical minerals. We have 6 Ontario projects and 1 Quebec project. Right now we're focused on 3 gold projects that are west of Thunder Bay, and between Thunder Bay and Atikokan, so we'll just zoom into that area of the map. The Birchall, Traxon, and Wilcorp properties are all in the same general area close to Trans-Canada Highway 11. They're all logging road accessible. In this area, it's the traditional territories of Lac des Mille Lacs First Nation and Lac Lacroix First Nation, whom we are in regular contact with. In terms of geology, Birchall is in the western Shibandawon Greenstone Belt, and Traxon and Wilcorp are in the Wabigoon subprovince to the north. A couple of major players in this area are Agnico Eagle at their Hammond Reef gold deposit of about 5.5 million ounces, and Gold Shore Resources at their Moss gold deposit, where they've outlined about 6 million ounces of gold. So Birchall is our flagship property, and that's partly because of its prime location right next to Gold Shore Resources' Moss project. Our property boundary on the west is less than 5 kilometers from the Moss gold deposit, where they've outlined about 6 million ounces. The deposit is part of a 25-kilometer plus trend of gold, which also hosts the past-producing North Coldstream mine, which produced gold, copper, and silver, and the East Coldstream deposit, where there's a resource of more than 500,000 ounces. The trend also, importantly, passes through a 1.8-kilometer section of our property in the northwest corner there. But Gold Shore has also outlined a secondary gold trend, which heads for the center of our property. And it so happens that we found a new gold zone there last year with grab samples up to 68 grams per ton, or 2.2 ounces per ton. The new zone is called the 111 zone, and it's hosted in sheared, altered volcanic rocks with disseminated specks of visible gold in the case of the 68 grammer. This is the photo in the corner here. The reason we went there last November was to follow up on 2023 grab samples, which ran 0.5 gram. So you can imagine our surprise last year when the assays came back from some follow-up sampling, and we got results up to 56 grams per ton, or 1.8 ounces. And that's 111 times the maximum grade from 2023, so that's why we call it the 111 zone. And we went back in December of last year, and that's when we got the 68 grammer, a couple of meters across strike from the 56 grammer. So in total, we've spent maybe 2 hours at the showing. So the first thing that we're going to do when we get back to Ontario is a field program right there to figure out what's going on. We've interpreted a structure crossing the property based on mag and topography. For about 10 kilometers across the property, the 111 zone sits in a big mag low, which heads up towards Upper Shibandawon Lake to the northeast and towards a historical gold showing to the southwest, about 3 kilometers, where there are chip samples of up to 42 grams or over 60 centimeters. On the whole, the structure has seen very little work, with only a few drill holes plotting close to it. So, like I said, the first thing we're going to do when we go back there in a few days is prospecting, soil sampling, field mapping, and we did some lines of ground VLF in the winter, that will help us target our prospecting. Then later in the summer, we'll bring in a backhoe to do some stripping and channel sampling, followed by a short drill program of about 1,000 meters. The access is incredible, with this major logging road coming down 300 meters east of the zone, and with a side trail coming about 100 meters south of the zone. The bulk of the past drilling on the property has been at the Hermia prospect in the western part of the property. There's wide gold and copper anomalies there, which might be analogous to the North Coldstream deposit to the north, which produced 100 million pounds of copper in addition to gold and silver. This is the northwest corner of the property, just up in there. That's where the Moss trend goes through along strike from the Moss Lake deposit. Last fall, we did some MMI soil sampling there, and we got some gold, copper, and molybdenum anomalies. And the copper and molybdenum can be pathfinders in this area. So the top anomalies, the map you're looking at shows the top 10% gold, copper, and molybdenum anomalies, and the top anomalies in red suggest a northeast trend in the northern part of the grid there. Newmont drilled part of this trend in the 1980s, and they got values up to about a gram over 6 meters in core. But it looks like, based on our anomalies, that more drilling could be done. And so we plan to do some infill soil sampling, followed by possibly some ground geophysics, and define the anomalies a bit better, and then drill a couple of the best ones, save a couple hundred meters for that. Moving on to our other gold properties in the area. In this area, north of the highway, gold is related to the major east-west Quetico fault zone and northeast trending splays off of that fault zone. The Hammond Reef deposit of Agnico Eagle is on one of these northeast trending splays, and they've outlined about 5.5 million ounces of gold there. Our Wilcorp property is on the north side of the Quetico fault zone, and we had grabs there up to 16.3 grams per ton gold last year at the historical Eagle prospect. This property is not our top priority right now, but it's still a high potential gold property, which we hope to advance a little bit through fieldwork this season. Our second highest priority gold property is the Traxton property. And that's also on one of those northeast trending splays like Hammond Reef, and it's in the same geology within the Marmion batholith. And that was discovered in 2016 with grab samples up to 1281 grams per ton gold, or 41 ounces per ton. That was the photo of visible gold in a quartz vein on the cover page of the presentation there. So Benton Resources drilled this zone from 2017 to 2018, and they established continuity of gold mineralization along a strike length of about 300 meters. They had a best hit of about 37 grams per ton over 1 meter. Later, they dropped it to focus on other things, and then Bold optioned the property in 2020, drilled the main zone in 2021, and we got the best intersection to date of 3.6 grams per ton gold over 12.3 meters, including 6.1 grams over 4.9 meters. We haven't done any follow-up drilling since then, but we plan to do so to the southwest and to the northeast under the lake. Benton tried to drill on the ice out on Bedivere Lake there, but couldn't get much core due to technical difficulties. Last fall, we did do some prospecting north of the main zone by boat, and we got some gold anomalies on the island northeast of the main zone up to 345 ppb gold. So we have evidence that the shear continues into the lake. We just don't know what it does when it hits the lake. Is there a flexure? Is there displacement by faulting? Or is there maybe a parallel trend? We'll have to test that by drilling. But this summer, all we plan to do is a little bit of field work along the structure south of the main zone. Okay, now we turn to northern Ontario. Bold has some significant legacy assets in the Ring of Fire. We have 10% carried interest to production in the Black Horse chromite deposit, which is about 86 million tons at 34.5 chromium oxide. That's on the Cooper Lake property, which is within 300 meters of Wailu's Eagle's Nest deposit, their massive nickel copper sulfide. And our partner in the venture is KWG Resources, operating as Canada Chrome Corporation. Bold also has a 40% working interest in all other metals on the claim group, and the right of first refusal on a 1% NSR for all metals on the claim group. We have some scattered claim groups to the northwest covering geophysical anomalies, the claims in red up there. We have no plans to work up there in the near future just because of the remoteness, but when the road is under construction and First Nation agreements are in place, these assets will increase in value for us. Just a few words on some of our other Ontario projects. Our Farwell project is in the Wawa area of Ontario, north of the Eagle River gold deposit owned by Wesdome. There's a iron formation hosted gold showing there, as well as a copper showing. Our Springpole East gold project is very grassroots. It's about 10 kilometers east of First Mining Gold Corp's Springpole deposit, which is about 5 million ounces. There's been no drilling there, so again, very grassroots. Our Joutel project is our only Quebec project. It's 10 kilometers south of the historic mining town of Joutel in Quebec. and several past producing gold and base metal deposits. Bold actually flew a VTEM survey over this area in 2012 and got several VTEM anomalies, some of which coincide with nickel and gold intersections in nearby drilling. But we only have about 3 known drill holes on the ground, so again, very early stage. A little bit about the company now. Market cap, it was about 6 million a couple of days ago. I think today it dropped to 5, but it fluctuates with these penny stocks. So recent share price of 8.5, 7 today, I guess. Shares out are about 70 million, fully diluted 88 million. And those are held by about 7% insiders, 20% friends and family, less than 10% institutional, and the rest retail. We have about $500,000 in the bank from our recent and ongoing financing. And we plan to go back to the market after our initial field program and maiden drill program at Birchall. Okay, a bit about our senior management. David Graham has been CEO since 2017 when he took over from Richard Namus. And Bruce McLaughlin and myself came onto the company only last August from Emerald Geological Services. We've done consulting for Bold for many years. Bruce is president and I'm VP. So David and Bruce have a really long history of finding mineral deposits. They're both involved with the discovery of the Eagle River gold deposit in near Wawa, which West Dome currently owns. Bruce was a prospector for Noranda at the time, and he discovered the high-grade 8 zone, which got the ball rolling. And David, along with Richard Nemes, were part of Central Crude, which optioned the ground to Noranda. Later on, David and Richard Nemes were part of the management of, they ran Noront Resources when Noront made the discovery of the Windfall gold deposit in Quebec, and then later the key base metal deposits in the Ring of Fire. And then they moved on to management of Bold Ventures. So the management team has a really long history of picking good properties and then finding deposits on those properties. As for myself, I'd love to be involved with the next one. That's all I have for you today. Thanks very much. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. If you choose to invest with us, we'll do our best to make you some money. Thanks.